Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
What's going on, folks? Welcome into the Fairways of Life show on this Monday of the Players Week. Hope you guys are doing well. Remember, this week, because of the re-airs on Golf Channel, we're not on Golf Channel, but we are obviously on our dish short of staggering. I'm just going to give you a little glimpse into what he has done. Right? 24th top three finish since joining the PGA Tour at the start of the 1920 season. That's 5 more than any other player in that span. The second place was Jon Rahm with 19. It's his 35th top 5 since joining the PGA Tour at the start of that same 2019-2020 season. 9 more than any other player in that span. Second with 26 is Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele. It's his 48th top 10 since joining the PGA Tour at the same time. 7 more than any other player in that span. And second there is 41 with Jon Rahm. It is absolutely remarkable what he did. With that, I'm going to send you over to PGA Tour Radio's Will Haskett and Dennis Paulson. We're hosting the coverage this weekend. Gents, first of all, incredible coverage. Had a chance to listen to a ton of it over the course of the last few days because I had to do a lot of driving and really, really enjoyed everything that you guys did. But, I mean, the significance of what we saw from Scottie Scheffler was something that, I don't know how else to describe it, but historic.
During the final round, and I made sure that I was comfortable saying it, but there were moments today from Scottie Scheffler where he looked unbeatable, and this was the Scottie Scheffler that we wondered last year through all the putting woes if we could ever see. He was unbeatable on Sunday. The question is, how unbeatable will he be moving forward after today?
I was just as concerned as you were. I wanted to start putting him on that pedestal again, and it hadn't been fair. It's a short body of work, but what I saw with the putter today, he putted with a clear mind, a quiet mind, and there's not a lot of stuff going on up there. And whenever you're putting your best, that's what's going on. You're not thinking about anything. You're just seeing a line, you're hitting it. You don't think about how hard to hit it, anything like that. And that's what we're seeing. And the fact that he's struggled so much with his putting and not affected his ball striking, it's hard to believe that. I honestly think he looked freer today on the golf course hitting the ball. And that says a lot about, I think it had crept in and he was still the best player in ball striking. And now he's going to one of the most technical golf courses on the planet. I can't put huge expectations on him because we're not sure what that putter's going to do. Yeah. But I know that he's turned the corner and he's proven to himself whatever he's doing right now. Can I feed off what I did? If he can really analyze how he felt on the golf course with his putter and what he was actually going through his mind, and if it was as simple as it looked to a guy that knows a guy that had a lot of chatter up in his head while he had been putting, it looked quiet today. And if he can stay there, oh boy.
Some of the superlatives from today's final round. A 66 was the round of the day by 2 shots. He was bogey-free, the only player on the golf course to be bogey-free in the final round. Ended up being a strokes gained total when you factor in the field average of a little more than +7. It's his best round of golf when you look at it from a strokes gained total standpoint since that final round 67 when he almost came from all the way back to win Memorial last year. Plus 3.8 strokes gained putting in the final round. It was tops in the field. It's his best round on the greens in the PGA Tour since the fall of 2022, Dennis. So everything came together for Scottie Scheffler in this round of golf. And as we look forward to his defense next week, an elite field, a deep field, you could play great and still lose that golf tournament to somebody else that plays a little bit greater. But as you mentioned, all of the freeing of that putting stroke and the fact that his ball striking has stayed so consistent and so elite for so long, it now opens this floodgate to where he could win multiple tournaments in a row in a span where we have majors, signature events, and elite fields lined up to leave no doubt of who the number one player in the world of golf is by a wide margin.
If I was going to be the best player in the world at any moment in time, this is about the perfect time coming into the Players' Championship. Kid asked for a better time, really, because you can really set yourself up. And he did this before. Think about what he did a few years ago where he came through here and was playing such good golf. I am excited for the simple fact that if you really look at the numbers, he lost percentage points in accuracy off the tee this week. And he lost percentage points greens in regulation this week for what he's done this year. So that just gives you an idea how good he really is. Everybody lost ground. No one, I don't think, improved their accuracy or their greens and regulation numbers. These greens, there was a lot of greens visited, but not a lot of them hung out there for the entire period of the time. It's a tough set of greens to hit. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess is the best way to say it. But if he can just be average, he doesn't have a strokes gain plus, just strokes gain right in the middle, just strokes gain average on the greens. It's going to be awful tough for people to beat him. He's going to be beating himself to not have a great opportunity to win a golf tournament.
Scotty's the talking point, probably 1, 2, and maybe even 3 in whatever way you want to project it moving forward coming out of this tournament. He beats Wyndham Clark by 5, Shane Lowry by 6, Russell Henley and Will Zalatoris round out the top 5. They were 8 shots back at 7 under par. What's the next takeaway from this week in that leaderboard for you?
I think the biggest thing for me with Scottie Scheffler, I'm going to say, is that, remember, he's had some opportunities to win since he won here last year, or won next week last year, the Players' Championship. And he's kind of lost those tournaments. The putter lost it for him. Most recently in Phoenix, he had a putt for a share of the lead on the back 9 and disappeared because of the putter. That I don't think is going to be a problem for him. It's just getting in that opportunity now and getting in that place, and now he can do that. I think that's the biggest thing. I think for everybody else, going in here, the guys that are on the leaderboard, I'm really excited to see what Will Zalatoris is going to do at the Players' Championship. Such a good ball striker, and his swing looks good and his body looks good, and that's the most important thing. Looks like he doesn't have any back issue whatsoever. Congratulations to him, and I think his wedge game is looking incredible. I love this new motion that he's putting under the golf ball. It looks very repeatable for a guy that had a very repeatable golf swing.
Well, Matt, I think with this leaderboard and with that performance on Sunday, it was a Sunday that the King would have been proud of at his home there at Bay Hill. We're on to the Players, where our defending champion is at the top of the sport again.
Incredible stuff, guys. Thank you very much. I love some of the things that I saw. Like Justin Ray had some stuff out there yesterday. And this goes to some of the things the guys are just talking about. Strokes gained off the tee, first. Strokes gained approach, 12th. Strokes gained around the green, first. Strokes gained putting, 5th. Strokes gained total. Are you ready for this? Strokes gained total, positive 16.492. That is outrageous. Now, same stats. Strokes gained off the tee, first for the season, he's 7th. Strokes gained approach, 12th for the season, he's 2nd. Strokes gained around the green, first for the season, he's 8th. You're going to hear all that, be like, yeah. Strokes gained total for the season, he's 1st. It all makes sense, right? He's Scottie Scheffler, except for putting. Strokes gained putting, again, this week, 5th. For the season, 107th. He's got that new putter. It's a TaylorMade Spider X Tour. And I really liked it, incidentally. I like the look of it. I like the neck on that putter a lot. And, there's all this talk about Rory McIlroy recommending it to him, et cetera, but there's other photos out there of him using a mallet-style putter, same style putter, in other times in practicing. What I think is the big difference is the changes that he's made in how he's putting if you look at the setup. The key is, I think, when you talk about a player in putting, and this is, I'll give you another nugget from Justin Ray. It's the 4th time since the beginning of 2022 that Scottie Scheffler has gained 4 or more strokes in strokes gained putt he's talking about, in a PGA Tour event, and he's won each time. Scheffler made, of course, now it's going to be thing of legend at the tournament because of all that it meant. He made each of his last 23 putts for the week from inside of 15 feet. That is remarkable performance. Absolutely remarkable. And to what the guys are saying, I just want to go through this one more time. Largest margin of victory at the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard since Tiger Woods won by 5 in 2012. Largest margin of victory on tour this season. The largest since Colin Morikawa won the 2023 Zozo Championship by 6. Largest 72-hole total at the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard since Rory McIlroy in 2018 when he was 18 under. 270 aggregate. First player to record 4 scores of 70 or lower at the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard since Rory McIlroy in 2018. I mean, some of the strokes gained stuff we were going through, which shows his performance relative to the field. Led field and strokes gained putting in the final round, 3.892 strokes, his best on tour since the second round of the 21 Shriners Children's Open. It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, it's seriously remarkable what we've seen. Now, I will let me say this about putting because I do see a lot of people, media people, etc., going crazy that Scottie Scheffler has figured out the putting is the way they phrase it. The only point of caution that I would throw up would be to say, when you have putters that have a tendency to get bulky, we've been saying it here for a long time. In fact, it was just a week or so ago, we had the different graphics that showed the contrast between putting leaders and total driving. And the difference, in other words, the ball striking. Where you have great ball striking, oftentimes you don't have great putting. But the comment that we made then, which I think is appropriate now, is that when their putting is even average, ball striking trumps everything. This guy is one of the top players in the world. He is the number 1 ranked player in the world, even though we believe that the world golf ranking is diluted. But he's still number 1, even against those that he's being compared against. Right? So it shows you that ball striking, everyone says, drive for show, putt for dough. Well, it's strike the ball for dough. So when these players get even average with their putting, they become what Will Haskett just said. What can you do against them? They do amazing things. So the only caution that I'd throw up there is that Scottie Scheffler has got to do what he just did. He doesn't have to do it to that extent, but he has to be at least average on tour, and he's not on season average. He's 107th, as I just told you. It's not even average. He's got to get somewhere around 50th to 60th on strokes gained putting with consistency before you can declare that he has figured out the putting. Go ahead, Andrew. Put that picture up you got up in the preview because it shows the putter that we're talking about. The images that we're using are courtesy of TaylorMade. Right? So I think he's got to be consistently no higher than 50 to 60th in strokes gained putting. And I'm talking about season average too. In a tournament, he's got to be closer to what you just saw, somewhere in the top 10, somewhere in the top 20. And then his ball striking, I think, can continue to carry him to heights of glory. But to declare that he has solved the putting issue, no, not yet. I'm not ready. For me personally, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready for that yet. I think more has to be shown because you look at players who are incredible ball striking, who their putting tends to go a little bit south on them and disappears for a while. Well, when it shows up, they do incredible things. And again, you could look at Colin Morikawa, and you could cite multiple examples with that. There are so many players that you could do it with. To a certain extent, you can do it with Rory McIlroy, but to his credit, Rory McIlroy has had seasons where, for this season, his strokes gained putting has been in that minimum range I was talking about, between 50 to 60. He's been even better than that, to his credit. But I'm just saying. So my hope is that Scottie Scheffler has got it figured out. But we'll see. I think he needs to show us more with that. It's going to be interesting coming into the players this week because he's the defending champion. The one thing you could say about Scottie Scheffler in terms of, call it his emotional state, the way that he handles things, was that he doesn't seem to be consumed by circumstance, good or bad. Seems that he's kind of a flatliner. So coming into the players, I mean, almost anybody else in the field, you'd have a sense that winning the Arnold Palmer Invitational, they'd be coming in and they could very well be, if not physically, then emotionally tired. For some people, depending on who the player is, you could get to a point, if it was somebody who came out of nowhere or hadn't won in a long time, one of those type stories, you could say, they got to be exhausted. They got to be exhausted. So there was other stuff you're going to be hearing from Scottie Scheffler coming up here on the Fairways of Life show today. You're going to be hearing from a lot of those, as you heard Will running down the leaderboard, that we're at the top of the leaderboard, which we'll have sound for you coming up. We're going to talk about Abraham Ancer and what he did in Live Golf, what Anthony Kim did in Live Golf. Shot a 65 in that final round. That score, people say, oh, it was a shorter golf course. It's just like when anybody criticizes a scoring set, for example, like when the 57 was shot recently. Everyone's like, short course, it was this, and that. And I say, okay, but why would you take away what somebody has done, right? Unless everybody else in the field did it, or at least a handful of other players did it. Then I could hear and say, well, it was because. But if you're the only one that does it in a field of professional players, then it means something. In the case of Anthony Kim, his 65 beat a lot of other players, good players, Taylor Gooch, etc. on that day. I mean, I didn't mean to go down this road right now as I was saving it for later on when I talk about Liv, but what I don't get with the whole thing with Anthony Kim is I don't get the venom for him. I don't get I don't call it hatred. I don't know what it is. I told you when he came out that I wasn't one of those that viewed his coming back to golf as some, second coming of I don't know, call it whatever you want, Ben Hogan. He stepped away from the game. He had a lot of injuries. He was dealing with that. They said he got paid a big sum of money from insurance company. Okay, so what? Whatever. Life happened, right? My issue with Anthony Kim coming back is that it was being presented as this thing of, hey, fans, embrace him back again because this is the Anthony Kim that we know and love. To which I said, okay, well, if there was that much love out there, then at least you should have reached out to us somewhere along the lines of a decade plus, almost 12 years, and said, hey, guys, I'm doing okay. I'm not doing okay. I'm here and there. I think that's how you remain a friend. You actually be a friend. But for him to come back and for them to give him a shot, I'm fine with that. I don't have any problem with that at all. I already told you I wish him well. I told you that the day he was coming out. Right? You can see the individual leaderboard there on the left. But what I don't get is why people are so adverse to it. That's what I don't understand. He was an iconic player in person. Part of that was because of the way that he handled his time away from the game, the way he just disappeared. And now that he's come back, there's the scrutiny over the way that he looks. All kinds of theories as to why he looks the way he looks, not as if they ignored 12 years have gone by in his life since you last saw a picture of him and compared. But maybe something else happened. I don't know. He said he's going to tell his story when he tells his story. So, to me, when it comes to Anthony Kim, I think something happened. It's called life. How deep those valleys were, how steep was his climb out, don't really know. He hasn't told us that yet. But it does seem to me that life took place, and that happens to everybody, maybe not to the same degree. We don't know because we don't know the story. Everything else is speculation, social media proclamations where you get tried, you get convicted. So am I curious about what really happened with him? I am. Do I wish in the time that he was away that he was a little more forthcoming or at least touched base with us every now and then? When I say us, I'm talking about all of us fans. And said, hey, I'm okay. How you guys doing? You know, whatever. So I was disappointed by that. But the part I don't get, as I told you, is I don't understand the open aggression towards him. That I don't get. I hope he accomplishes what he's setting out to accomplish. It'd be a great story, wouldn't it? What the story is behind the story, I do believe there is one. And he said he was going to talk about it when he's ready. That's good. I'm okay with that too. So anyway, so we got a lot coming up. Plus, the whole thing with Wyndham Clark. Really uneasy about it. It's not sitting well with me at all with what took place. You know what? I'm not going to get into it. We'll save that for the next segment. Plus, you're going to hear from those guys that I just mentioned to you. Fairways of Life show presented by the PGA Tour Superstore, #1 golf retailer, coast to coast. You need it. They got it. Swing it, wear it, learn from it. You know that you can find it in there. The best part of it is, and I stress this all the time because I love this aspect of who they are, is that you're dealing with pros. You're dealing with someone that actually is an expert at what they are doing. Isn't that who you want dealing with you and your equipment, your golf swing, or whatever it is you're trying to get or get better at? Find your happy place.
Relax. Easy now. Find your happy place. It's all in the hips. Just tap it in. Yes!
Find the latest clubs and apparel at Golf's Happy Place, the PGA Tour Superstore.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
It screams. It tracks. It's soft. It reacts. It is the Bridgestone Tour B with a game-changing reactive cover designed to spring faster off your driver and stick longer to your wedges. Try Bridgestone's Tour Bs, the Tour Ball reinvented.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try this. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm gonna go after the PGA Tour.
Bo, you're gonna need the right equipment company.
I think I got that.
You know Tour Edge backs all their clubs with a lifetime warranty.
I know.
They ship all their premium custom clubs in 48 hours.
I know.
All their premium clubs are hand-built in the USA.
I know.
You know Tour Edge has won 35 times out here.
Guys, I know.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Boyne Golf provides the ultimate world-class golf destination with 10 championship-caliber courses spanning 3 resorts. Centered in Michigan's northern Lower Peninsula, the courses are the products of some of the game's masters, including Robert Trent Jones Sr., Arthur Hills, and Donald Ross. From the all-inclusive vacation packages, elite instruction with the Boyne Golf Academy, tournaments, and so much more, Boyne Golf truly offers an unrivaled Michigan golf vacation experience. Just log on to BoyneGolf.com. Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show on this Monday of the Players' Championship week. I forgot to check in the last segment with Dominic to find out what the question of the day is. What's going on, Dom? What'd you get? New glasses today? When'd you get these?
I did get new glasses. I didn't get them today. But yes,
I don't know if you have them mailed to you. I have no idea. But yeah, you take them out of the box.
No, this is what it is. This is me now.
It's a different style for you, isn't it? Huh?
It is, but you'd have to take that up with my wife. You know, she's, you don't look good in that. You don't look good in that. You don't get this, get that. Why don't you try this on? This looks good. Oh, that looks good. You should wear that.
Do you feel much smarter in those?
No, I actually feel dumber.
No, it's not a dumber look. I mean,
but you seem to be focusing a lot on my glasses. Do you have an opinion here?
I mean, I saw him this morning. I said to Andrew, "What comparables can we do?" This is what Andrew came up with in terms of others.
Oh, come on! They're not that round. They're not Harry Potter round. Come
Dude, they're
on,
Harry Potter round. They're
not
the
Harry
exact
Potter
same
round.
as Marty Hackle's glasses. Dominic, your glasses.
Well, normally I think Marty likes the blue. He usually has. That's not blue there, but Marty
does. He has different colors, like
He's a
you and Keith
Golf
Pelly.
Digest longtime fashion advisor. He normally has blue glasses. Those are like I don't know, leopard pattern or something. Up, Andrew. Up.
I just say, when I wondered, like with round glasses, I mean, how much space is that for better?
I'll freeze.
Yeah, just perfect. Hold. You can't move your eyes if you're freezing. If you have round glasses, is it because it gives you better field of vision? That's all I'm just saying.
I do have a better field of vision, and also this is separate from the.
I wouldn't wear those
glasses
playing
that I
basketball.
got,
Just
but,
as a note to self.
But no, I wear my contacts whenever I do a lot of that stuff. But what I was going to say is, if you have glasses, when you get a new pair, it's like you can see again, because when you have a pair of glasses for 2 or 3 or 4 years, the stuff starts to peel. It just gets matted down. It doesn't matter how many times you clean them. You just can't see right. And it's foggy and then you get new glasses and you're like, whoa, I can see the leaves on the trees.
Yeah.
Which you aren't able to see with your beat up glasses. The question of the day.
Yeah,
as it pertains to Wyndham Clark, sort of.
Okay.
Is there a difference between cheating and breaking a rule? Now, I don't know if you want to go down into the depths of this right now, Matt, or if you want to play some Scottie and cover a couple things before, but we could do a half an hour on this stuff. This is fascinating the way this unfolded.
All right, so do you think, I don't know if everybody knows what happened. Third round, Wyndham Clark hits his drive into the right rough on 18 at Bay Hill. It's mired in the deep rough. He goes up with a sand wedge, places it behind the ball a couple of times. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it was, in fact, there was a really good article that somebody wrote that was the synopsis of it. I saw that last night. Let me see where it is.
You don't need a synopsis.
Yeah, I got it.
You
I found it.
Explain the basics of it. No, it's all right.
All right, so this was by Jack Hirsch, golf.com. He should be penalized. Brando Chambly disputes controversial ruling. At Bay Hill's final hole, Wyndham Clark sparked a debate no player wants to beat the center of. Did he move his ball or not? One of golf's most respected and loudest voices thinks he did. Quote, I don't need video to see this. I saw it live, and I knew the ball moved, said Brando Chambly on Saturday night's Golf Central. I think he should have been penalized. To recap, Clark was tied for the lead at 9 under near the end of the third round of the Arnold Palmer Invitational when he blew his tee shot way right in the 18th hole. The last at Bay Hill doesn't have much room on the right as Los Angeles Country Club's final hole, so Clark found himself in the deep rough just short of the devious pond that guards the right side of the vaunted hole. Hitting a shot from the thick rough over the pond into the 18th green at Bay Hill is one of the most difficult shots in the PGA Tour, despite Clark having just 143 yards in. As he and his caddy John Ellis decided how they were going to play to the front left pin, Clark tried to address the ball with a wedge. That's when PGA Tour lead TV rules and video analyst Mark Dusbaspek, I assume is how you say it, said his heart fluttered. NBC cameras cut right to the shot of Clark's club head behind the ball, and it appeared as Clark was trying to determine what club he could get on the line, the ball seemed to sink slightly deeper into the grass. Clark hacked out to safety just short and left of the green, but NBC play-by-play man Dan Hicks was clearly disturbed by the close-up angle of Clark putting his wedge behind the ball. Quoting, "I got to say, we're looking at that when he put that club behind the ball, and it kind of went down like that," said Hicks. That's when Hicks brought in the rules official if there had been any violation of the rules. Quoting, "For a ball to move, based on the definition, it has to be to a different spot. It can move, but as long as it comes back to where its original spot was, it technically hasn't moved. So when we watch this on tape, it looks like it's come back to its same spot," close quote. Before it being interrupted by a commercial break, Hicks questioned if there was any chance Clark was trying to improve his lie. They picked up the conversation back with it when the coverage resumed. "I know, Dan, that it looks bad, that maybe he's trying to improve the area of his intended swing. It doesn't look like there's enough there. It's just hard to say. A player's allowed to ground the club with the weight of the club against the ground, so that's basically what he's doing right there. I feel his ball didn't move, and I feel like he did nothing to affect the stroke," close quote. He was referring to Rule 8.1b4, which states that players are allowed to ground the club lightly right behind the ball. With ground the club lightly, meaning allowing the weight of the club to be supported by the grass, soil, sand, or other material on or above the ground surface, close quote. But analyst Brad Faxon challenged that Clark was only using the weight of the club. "There was definitely pressure pushing down there," Faxon said. "It certainly wasn't good looking," close quote. Luke Donald added that Clark needed to use more caution to avoid the potential of an infraction. He also said it couldn't have benefited much since he was just laying up. Clark ultimately made a bogey on the hole, and to that, asked about it later on, and being shown the shot in the scoring trailer, Clark told Eurosports, "I had no idea that even happened. I wasn't trying to do anything like cheating or anything like that or improve my lie. I just simply put my club down." And, obviously they zoomed in. It makes it look worse. We all talked about it. His playing partner, Scottie, and the rules official, they didn't think it moved. So the article continues. You can find it, golf.com, if you want to, for more on it. I got a couple thoughts here. The first thing that's bothersome about this situation is, and answer this honestly, folks. When everybody was jumping all over Patrick Reed for everything, right? And there are many, many people, again, I'll call this kind of the social media world where you're tried and convicted. There are many people that are convinced that anything that Patrick Reed did in those litany of things that he went through, of his own making or otherwise, I'm not making a judgment. I'm just saying there are people that are convinced that he cheated, and they won't be convinced otherwise. He cheated. That's it. Okay, so let me ask you this question. Here's the question. If what you saw was done by Patrick Reed, would you have declared it as cheating? And the reason I'm asking you that question that way is, does it matter who does it? Because do you remember when Jon Rahm was assessed a penalty for doing what essentially was the exact same thing, however, with far less severity? I wonder how many people remember that. So now comes in an objective measurement to a certain extent. It was on the PGA Tour, but there was an objective measurement made. A rules official said, no, that's a violation of the rules. So to me, there's a couple things going on here, and that's what's reflected in the question of the day. Is breaking a rule in golf the same as cheating? No. They are two distinct things. One has intent. So I saw two things with Wyndham Clark that were troubling. and still are troubling. One is, to me, it's 100% certain that his ball moved. It's clear. That's one. Two is, was there an effort made deliberately to improve his lie? Did he use that club to pat down the grass behind the ball so we'd have clearer or better access to the back of the ball? Right? Now, what I would say there is, if there was not intent in what he was doing, then there definitely is a systemic issue that we're talking about here. Meaning that, and it's not just him, incidentally, meaning that players are engaged in such a behavior often that they don't even view it as something that shouldn't be done, a violation of the rules. Knowingly intending to move the grass away from the back of their ball to give them better access. I've heard from a lot of people who are saying, oh, it was a very bad look, et cetera, et cetera. It was bad. It was bad all around. And Wyndham Clark's a good dude. He's a good guy. And in these situations, as you know, I always give the players the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to that ball moving, I don't think there's any doubt. The ball moved. Was there some effort being made to protect a player or protect the field, or is it harder to get called for penalty? That was the thing that Brando Chambly went off on. He said, nowadays, what do you got to do to get a penalty? The same kind of criticism you hear, for example, on the NBA. What do you got to do to get a penalty? What is traveling nowadays? Right? So that was it. That was the part that Brando went off on. The second part is the much more delicate one, the much more concerning one, which is deliberately improving your lie. So, yeah, those are the two areas that I had a big issue with everything that took place. What are you hearing, Dom, from people today? I know we don't get to it very much when we're on Golf Channel because of our time constraints now, but today we don't have the time constraint. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, now that we're on Golf Channel, which is incredible, and we appreciate all the support everyone has given us. It's been awesome. But yes, we only have, in producer speak, content time, right? We only have like 40-something minutes of content time. It's already 8:40 if you're watching us live on YouTube right now. So we're 40 minutes into the show. And
this would have been the end of the show. Normally,
to this point, we've only taken one break. We haven't played any sound from Scottie Scheffler or Abraham Ancer or anybody that's won anything.
Now he's becoming a producer. He's becoming a round glass producer. It's complaining.
We haven't had time to do anything. So it's very difficult for me to cram everything into the show and the time constraints.
Hey,
so
you know what,
every now and again, we're still going to have shows like this where we don't have time constraints.
Dom, anything that we don't get to, we will post on the YouTube channel. Does that make you any happier?
True. That is true.
All right.
No. All right. It does not. I'm just gonna read some stuff coming in. This is all focused for the most part on Wyndham Clark's situation. The crazy thing is he did it twice on the same shot with two different clubs. In the video, it clearly changed position. The ball can move so long as it doesn't change position. He was bending the grass. You can't do that. The circle is not in the same location. Andrew, put that picture back up. Compare the blades of grass locations on the circle. David writes, I don't think he was trying to improve his lie. He was matting down the grass, and the rules official at NBC had blamed the matting of the grass due to the weight of the club. Wyndham was pressing down on the grass. It was obvious. If it was Patrick Reed, he definitely would have been penalized. He was bouncing his club up and down. That is not the natural weight of the club. You cannot improve a lie. Nope. We all know that. He was applying downward pressure with his club. This is kind of universally they're feeling what I would describe as what you're feeling, Matt, which is an uneasiness. It didn't seem quite right. The question of the day, again, is there a difference between cheating and breaking a rule? Yes or no? 83%.
I don't think it's quite right. Not
yes.
quite. It wasn't one of these situations that wasn't quite right. It was flat out wrong. I don't think there's a gray area with this.
Well, there's two issues I have with that comment. The first is if it was flat out wrong, then there should have been a penalty. There should have been something. Nothing happened. That's weird if that's where you're standing. The second thing is, which is the problem that I have, that no one seems to be talking about. The way the USGA has altered the rules with regard to HD television is essentially paraphrasing whatever rule -- it is that if you can't see it with the naked eye, it didn't happen. Seems fair to me, right? If the ball moves 2 millimeters that we see in HD close-up, that doesn't really count as moving 2 millimeters because nobody can see that. I agree with that. I think that's fair. The ball moving or not moving in this situation with Wyndham Clark does not bother me very much. I think it moved minimally, and I think you could argue that it wasn't really something you would be able to see with the naked eye. I do not have an issue with the penalty not being assessed for the ball moving. What drives me nuts is the fact that the improving of the lie is not something that anyone really focused on. When they were rehashing it on Golf Central, Brandon Chambly and the team, they didn't really focus too much on it. On the broadcast, they also didn't really focus too much on it at all. I barely mentioned it. To me, that was the weird part, was the matting down of the lie. Now, again, we cannot show you footage. We're not allowed to show footage of coverage. But
we don't have
he
the rights
literally
to
had
it,
Andrew put me back on the thing. So you have the grass, right? The grass is up like this. He had his club. He wasn't going like this. He was going, and he did it like 4 or 5 times and smashed it down. So to me, it was really obviously him improving his lie. Now, the other thing that no one is mentioning, Matt, is the last thing I'll say, and then you can comment. These days, it's very rare at a PGA Tour level for a player to hack out, right? To hack out sideways of the rough. That is rare. That happens essentially at U.S. Opens, and that's it, right? So he took out the highest lofted wedge he had and matted it down, and then he switched to a much better, bigger iron. I don't know what it was, a 7-iron, whatever, and he hacked it down on, the water goes around the edge there on 18, and he hacked it down just short of the green, so he had a pitch shot, right? So he was always going to hack it down there as far as he could. He was never going to hit sideways 10 yards. So to me, the argument that, well, he was testing. Well, he wanted to see if he wanted to hit his sand wedge sideways 10 yards. Come on. Nobody was going to do that. He was never going to do that.
No, but he had another choice.
The issue to me is he took out that club just to mat the lie, right? Or no?
Well, he was 142 away. He could have. It's probably for him would have been like a 50-degree wedge or a gap wedge, if you please, is probably that distance if he could get at it. But to your point, and I found the quote from Chambly talking about the penalties. He said, "No longer is it a penalty to tap down spike markers. You can ground a club in the penalty area. You can inadvertently touch the sand. Your ball can move when you address it. It's almost impossible to get a penalty these days. But when a rule violation, at least to me, is as obvious as this, and I don't need video to see it, you would think that a penalty would be assessed," close quote. So, to your point, and as I've been illustrating here, there are 2 different and distinct and separate issues at play. One is, and I mentioned to you that Jon Rahm got a penalty for the same thing. Far less severe, incidentally, but got this penalty for the same thing. And they interviewed afterwards and said, "Were you aware of that?" He wasn't aware of it. He said he didn't even know it moved. But he said if they view it that a penalty occurred and I was responsible for moving that ball, I get it, assessed a penalty. Okay? So that comes down to breaking a rule of golf. Is it possible to break a rule of golf and you didn't know it? Of course it's possible. Either because you didn't know the rule, either because it was a rule that was dependent upon circumstance, or because you didn't see it. Whatever those reasons are, you could break a rule of golf and be assessed a penalty, and you broke a rule. Different than when you do something with intent. And that's the part, Dom, that everybody is staying away from. because that's the ugly part. That's the reason why. All I'm telling you is,
in the history of, because you're more of a historian than anyone I've ever met, and I don't know the answer to this question. In the history of the PGA Tour, has there, or even professional golf, can you think of anyone on record admitting to knowingly cheating, saying, you caught me, I did it?
Let me go back to the circumstance, because it applies directly to what we're talking about relative to a ball in the rough. It was at the 1925 U.S. Open at the Worcester Country Club, the 11th hole. Bobby Jones hit his drive into the left rough. He happened to be playing that day alongside of his arch rival, Walter Hagen. Jones went up to address the ball in the thick rough. It was rye. It's a Kentucky Bluegrass rye mix. He went up to address his ball, and as he put it down, he pulled the club away and he said, the ball moved. He said the ball moved. Rules official came over. The rules official begged Bobby Jones not to assess the penalty. They interviewed Walter Hagen and said, did you see it move? Walter was like, no, I didn't see it move. Bobby, you're fine. They interviewed people in the gallery. Nobody saw it move. No one. Everyone said it didn't happen. Bobby Jones said it happened. Penalty was assessed because he called himself on it. He ended up going into a playoff against Willie McFarlane, if memory serves me. I believe it was Willie McFarlane, kind of this veteran campaigner pro, back in the day. I think Willie was from Scotland, if memory serves me. And went into a playoff against Willie, and he lost. That one stroke mattered a lot. So, yes, there is precedence. That was when afterwards he was asked by the media why he did what he did, and everyone was giving him accolades, etc., and he said, you might as well praise a man for not robbing a bank. It's part of why Bobby Jones is... And I'm calling him Bobby Jones because that's a popular name. He preferred Bob, but that's part of why he's the legend that he is. So, yes, there is multiple instances of precedence in the game of golf. That's just one of them is the most famous. Anything else, Dom, coming in from the people you want to share before we go to a break here?
I mean, we can do this all day.
I know.
There's a lot of comments coming in. There are some people saying, which where was it? David says, you guys are making Clark a devious cheat. I don't think so. I'm not sure that, I don't think that's fair. I'm not, did I say that? I didn't say that.
No, what we're saying is that there is a pattern of behavior, and if that pattern of behavior is not called out as violating the rules, that's why I called it a systemic incident. He is not the only one doing this. There are lots of players that do that same thing. In my mind, it is an absolute breaking of the rule. In my mind, it is absolutely intended to improve the lie and access to the back of the golf ball with the club. Right? If players think...
So your opinion is it needs to be policed heavier.
Yeah, and it needs to be very, very clear. You cannot do this. So to the points and the quotes that I'm reading from Chambly, quoting again, it's almost impossible to get a penalty these days. ... Close quote.
Well, like to what you were saying about, stories from back in the day, right? It's hard today with the cameras, and it's also complicated because the cameras don't follow everybody. Especially down the stretch of a big event when the cameras are focused on the last three groups, whatever it is. And you're showing an insane amount of close-ups of their wedge shots, of their shots out of the rough, et cetera, et cetera. And the other side of this, right, I think is complex, is it's it's different if you're playing with your buddies than you are playing in a tournament. I think it's rare for an individual to be comfortable screaming across the fairway that someone's cheating. That's an uncomfortable thing for a competitor sometimes to do. Doesn't that mean it's more on the officials than it is on the playing partners?
Oh, yeah.
Because
it's on the player and it's on the officials.
If you're on the opposite side of the fairway and you're like, yeah, you're fluffing your lie over there. You're cheating. No, it's unlikely someone's going to bark that out in tournament conditions. That's got to come from the officials.
Right.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, the whole thing about people that are high up on the leaderboard or on television more, so they face more scrutiny, and is that fair compared to the rest of the field? That's the heat of beating in the kitchen. You're that good that your shots are being televised and close-ups are being made of what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. If you're that good, then you better make sure that everything you're doing is to the letter of the law, because that's part of what goes along with it. You get more TV time because people presumably want to see what you're doing. I don't have any issue with that. There's no victimization that takes place there. If there's an issue with that, if you seriously have an issue with that and going, well, it's unfair that you watch me so closely, aren't we talking about something different here then? And I am laughing about what you said, Dom, because it's apropos. We literally would have been off the air like 5 minutes ago.
Our the Golf Channel side of what we traditionally do every week now,
we're trying to get used to,
counting you out. I'd be counting you out to end the show right now.
Yeah, we've been done. We already be off the air.
I do enjoy that we're still going to be able to do what we're doing right now. Every now and again, we'll be doing shows that are going to be a lot more freewheeling and unrestricted in terms of how long we talk and commercials and stuff. And so I love having the balance of that. And we're still going to get to do what we're doing right now, and I love it. But I still hate it as a producer. Like, Scottie Scheffler just won his 7th time. He's the Players' Champion from last year. He's the defending champion of this week's huge Players' Championship. And we haven't even heard him talk for 2 minutes about winning by 1 million shots.
I knew you were mad about that. I could tell.
Totally ignoring this. But we also have all the other events that happened and stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And we've talked about nothing.
No, I mean, these were important things. I mean, this. I think these are big issues that we've talked about, and we did, go through how amazing Scottie's performance was. We just haven't heard from Scottie yet. How long is his sound, Andrew? Scottie Scheffler's sound. It's about 6 minutes. So why don't we? We'll do. We'll play a couple minutes of it right now. Right? If we make it to 6, we make it to 6. If we come out a little bit early, we come out a little bit early. We do a commercial and come back and rock and roll. Hey, don't forget the PXG Black Ops Challenge is up until the 15th of March. You basically bring your driver in and you go up against the new Black Ops driver. And when you're doing it, they're going to make sure the Black Ops has the shaft in there that's right for you. So they're going to be looking at your swing and all the rest. It's unbelievable because if your driver performs better than the Black Ops, you leave with $100. PXG.com. Check it out. Book your chance today and give your chance to win $100. I don't know why everybody wouldn't do it. I love when they do this. It is absolutely well worth it. All right, here's Scottie after his victory.
Yeah. I don't really know exactly what to say, but I'm thankful for this week. I'm thankful for how we performed out there, and it was a good week. Can take away a lot of positives from this tournament, and it's really special. Mr. Palmer meant a lot to me, meant a lot to us as professional golfers and the game of golf, and so it's very special to be able to sit here and wear his red sweater again, and I'm very proud to be the champion in his tournament. I think it's it has a lot to do with the stuff we talked about on Monday, keeping the mind as quiet as possible, and part of the problem is just trying too hard. It's frustrating to not be. Not have the best of myself just because I know that I can putt really well. It's not like, I've been a bad putter my whole career. I've just gone through a stretch where it's been tough. And, I think this week I did a really good job of not letting the misses get to me. Teddy did a really good job of keeping me in a good headspace, and we stayed positive out there, and I hit a lot of good putts this week. Yeah, I mean, I try not to place too much of my identity in what I do out here on the golf course. There's a whole other part of my life that is not in front of you guys that I think is what's most important to me. And so, yeah, like I said, my life's not a golf score. It's not how many trophies I'm going to win. It's not anything like that. I'm proud to have a great wife and a great family. And we have great friends at home, and I'm very, very grateful for the other part of my life that's away from the golf course. Well, I'd like to be remembered as a competitor. I'd like to be remembered as someone that always gave it his best, and just kept a good attitude. And I feel like that's my goals always going into an event is being tough, being competitive, and going out and competing, having a good attitude, and being committed to my shots. Yeah, I think this one's pretty special. Like some of y'all have mentioned, it had been a while since I won. I did win in the Bahamas, but as far as the PGA Tour event, it had been almost a year. And so there'd been, a lot of chatter about my game and the state of where it was at. And so it was nice to kind of come in here with a good mental attitude and to perform well under pressure. And, I think today's round was really special for me going forward. I try to be as patient as possible. I think, that's probably a tough thing to kind of figure out. But, like I said, I try to be as patient as possible. I think it can be tough out here. This game can humble you really fast. And so I'm trying to be more grateful for the success and, more grateful for these wins. Sometimes I have a habit of winning an event and just, immediately trying to move on to the next week. And so, going into tonight, I'll try and celebrate and enjoy this win with my family. And, it'll be fun. Thursday, I think, was a really, really important day for me. I got off to a horrible start with the putter. I hit a really bad putt to start the day, and, I missed a couple other makeable ones on the first few holes. And, when I got to the practice range after, the discussion was not what are we going to fix, it was how well that I did. And that all goes back to the process that we're working on, and it's not results-based. Like, we got done with Thursday's round, and Teddy and I kind of looked at each other, and it was like, man, I felt like we did pretty good today. And so that was the discussion, and then we continued to work on the things that we're working on. And, it wasn't like we were searching for anything out there. It was more just, kind of reflection of, where I was mentally at the time, and, I thought we did a good job. Yeah, I try to be as consistent as possible out here, and it's a difficult thing doing that week to week out here on tour. The golf courses are really tough. The competition is really tough, and I try to be as consistent as possible and bring the right attitude each week. And so I'm definitely proud of the results over the last couple of years, how consistent I've been, and it's nice to get a win this week. I just think that how it works, across the game, or across all aspects of the game. If you're trying to play perfect golf, it doesn't really work. There's no such thing. And I think sometimes the perception from people on the outside, golf looks really easy when you watch it on TV. I mean, it really does. It does not look that hard. But then when you go out here and compete and play on the PGA Tour, it's pretty dang difficult. And so I try and take that approach to all aspects of my game. And sometimes when things aren't going right, you try to be perfect. And at times in the last year or so, it's definitely been frustrating knowing that I can hole putts and win tournaments and not being able to do it, at the clip that I'd like to. And so going into today, that was really one of the positives I took from the first round was, I had a good attitude. I held my lines well, and it's just a matter of continuing to stick to what we're doing and just wait for the results to come and not force them. Putting's such a difficult thing because you can't force it. Like I can hit a really good 9-iron from the middle of the fairway, and every now and then I'll get gusted and it won't turn out well, but worst case, it's not going to be very far from the hole. But putting, I can hit a really good putt from 15 feet, and if it lips out, it's the same thing as me just hitting a terrible putt a foot short and then tapping it in. So it's a tough thing to quantify when you're just looking at the results, and so that's why I try to focus more on my process and what I'm doing over the ball versus any sort of results-based thinking. I get lazy. That's pretty much it. And I got lazy in the 2 weeks that we had off, and it started growing out. And then one day, I don't remember why I wanted to be presentable for something. I don't even remember what it was, but I just grabbed a razor and just shaved my neck. And then it was just kind of nice not having to shave, each day. And really just more of a laziness thing than anything. But now it's getting to the point where it's probably getting a little bit longer, and it's growing in weird directions, so I'm probably going to have to shave it now and then grow it out again. Really, it was just pure laziness.
It's interesting because here you're here. Yeah, you got to shave twice a day, Dom. It's very different. But it's interesting.
I hear that,
because
Scotty. Amen, brother.
he just won Arnold Palmer's tournament. Mr. Palmer hated people with facial hair. Hated it.
Hated
so,
people
hey, Don.
with facial hair.
Sam Roberts, CPA, writes in and says, hey, Matt Adams, what the heck is going on with the Live Hong Kong individual results graphic that you threw up there? He said it showed.
Yeah, I screwed up. I screwed up the leaderboard. I
he
built
says
that this
it
morning
showed
at like 5:30 in the morning.
Abe Ancer as a winner, then show the other place getters from Live Jeddah. Then you tacked AK score on from Hong Kong. Cam Smith and Paul Casey not listed?
No, that first of all, well, all right. Can I defend myself for a second here? All right, first of all, that's not entirely true. The only thing that I screwed up was what you see there tied second, Paul Casey and Cam Smith in the playoff with Abe Ancer. I had those names incorrect. That Anthony Kim at the bottom is correct. Last week, he was 50, I don't know, third or fourth or something like that. And this week, he jumped up to 50th because he had that final round 65, but he's still a million shots back. So my graphic was not terribly off base. But I did. But that's true, whoever that person was. I did make a mistake. I appreciate
Sam
them
Roberts,
catching the
CPA.
mistake. I was up at 5:30. My kids are on track out. Where I am, my kids are in year-round school, okay? So, which is awesome. By the way, I don't know where you're watching from. Year-round school, if you have kids under 15, it's the best. The retention's great. Highly recommend
Don't try
year-round
to change
school.
the subject.
But they go on track out, which means they take a 3-week chunk off of school. Well, I got to work. Yeah. I got to do this stupid show with the stupid wrong graphics, right? So I'm getting their lunches ready, and I'm getting yelled at, and one of them's throwing cereal at me, and I screwed up someone's name. Lay off, will you?
So somehow, Sam Roberts, CPA, Dom's trying to tell us that he's not responsible for what happened because he didn't know.
No. I'm accepting
he didn't know that it happened. Right?
Full
and
responsibility.
If you don't know that it happened and you've got all these other heavy responsibilities on your shoulders, you know what I'm saying?
Listen, I was not trying to improve my lie, all right? It's just how the morning played out.
I just got to tell you, your arguments are a lot better with the round glasses. It's really hard to argue with you now. Look, it's just very academic. It's like, no.
I look academic.
Yeah.
No one's ever called me academic in my entire life.
If you hit us with an argument where you were like, well, no, what happened with the near fire incident in the studio from last Friday? The defibrillator was offline, and when we came back on, it automatically loaded names that we keep in the placeholder. So we'd all have been like, oh, we're really sorry about that, Don. We didn't realize that you were going through so much in your life. All right, so at the Live event in Hong Kong, Abraham Ancer was able to break through. He had this to say about his victory.
I mean, I think you said it perfectly. It was definitely a grind. I made it a lot more stressful than I envisioned it. I didn't have my best ball striking. It was very, very polar opposite of the first two rounds off the tee, and my fairway and second shots wasn't quite there. But I was really happy. Mentally, I dug deep. I had to. That round could have definitely been going south very, very quickly. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of how I felt mentally and how I fought the whole round, not having my best stuff. I knew it was going to be tough. There's some big-time names right behind me, and I know there's going to be a couple of really low rounds out there that, like PC, just like that. So I knew I had to make some birdies coming in or have some good stuff coming in. And unfortunately, I didn't have any birdies coming in, but it was good enough to get in a playoff. And then I hit some two good quality golf shots there to finish it off. And then it felt nice. It felt really good because that was a very stressful round. It feels incredible because I worked so hard this previous 2 years, and I haven't been able to. I feel like I haven't played to my potential in this past 2 years. So I maybe I put too much pressure on myself. I can't really. It was tough to pinpoint what it was because I was practicing harder than I've ever have. and I was not seeing the results. So it was mentally it was tough. That's why today was really big for me. I felt like mentally to be able to get it done with a tough round, not hitting at my best, and feeling the pressure of all these great players right behind me. So it means a lot. It just gives me a lot of confidence, but it also kind of eases me that all the hard work that I put in this last 2 years, it paid off today. So I'm extremely happy.
Abraham Ancer, after his victory in Hong Kong, the Crushers won again. That's it. Is the team leaderboard correct here, Dom?
Yes. Yes, it is.
You got to go back to Dom. You got to see the chagrin on his face that I asked him that question. He's so offended by it. All right.
We've got some comments coming in. Dom using the Wyndham Clark defense. Dom, yada, yada, yada. Just smile and wave, will you? Dom using the ball didn't move excuse. Dom, are you implying that stupid people are watching this stupid show? I mean, I'm an academic, so.
Oh, now. What do people say
Dom
about your
looks
class?
like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh,
well,
dearie.
Oh, that cuts deep, people. That cuts deep.
It does. The glasses look the exact same.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh,
no.
dearie. Why
no.
pay for the cow when
No.
you can get the milk for free?
That's terrible.
Go ahead.
That
Go
is
back to
terrible.
that again, Andrew. Let the people decide. That should be your question of the day. Put it side by side with Dom. You could do this. And just like, yeah, thanks for making me do stuff live on the air.
No, this is not going to work.
Yes, it will, and you know it's
Live
gonna
Hong
work.
Kong was great viewing, and that's all that matters. I only watched about a half of one of the rounds of Live Hong Kong, if I'm being honest. It was that weird timing in the United States. That's terrible. That's terrible. Take that off. I'm going to quit the show.
Leave that up. Leave that up.
I'm going
for
to
the
quit
rest
the
of
show.
Oh, you just leave it up there. Or just do what you did. Just fade it in every now and then.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That cuts deep, Mrs. Doubtfire. That's a great movie, for the record. Good movie.
Oh, dearie. Oh, dearie.
Part of the problem, I think, is that I have a very small head.
Dom, just
I know that
when something
sounds-
like this comes up or you
I have
do
a
a
very
leaderboard
small
wrong,
head,
just let
and
it go.
It causes problems. Do I have a hold on?
You just
Hold
not
on, I have
best
a
to
hat
go
over
down
there.
these roads.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I don't know. You told me to hold on a second.
Okay. No one's going to be able to hear me. I'm going to take off my headset. All right. I have one of our lovely partners, Zero Friction, sent us some stuff. All right. This is a regular hat that regular people wear. Wherever you get your hats, wherever hats are sold, they look like this. They're about this
How
size.
is this better than the
one size
Mrs.
fits all,
Doubtfire
quote unquote.
picture?
All right. All right. I'm going to show you how small my head is. These are the problems I have to deal with. Okay. I'm an academic. Hold on.
Yes, Dom. Thank you. We see it. Yep. Uncovering. Now people realize we have to deal with this every day, every hour of every day when we're not on the air with Dom going through all of this.
I have an incredibly small head. Okay? Incredibly small head. So it's very difficult for me to get hats. It's very difficult for me to find glasses that, frame my head in a reasonable manner.
Yeah.
So I got hat problems. You know who else that, by the way, has hat problems? Rory McIlroy. Did you see that episode of Full Swing? He was exchanging hats with Shane Lowry in the team room at the Ryder Cup. And what I just did with my hat looked like what Rory did. Same problem. I got to say, me and Rory, you can't even tell the difference. Two peas in a pod, Matt.
Yes. Oh, dearie. Oh, dearie. Poor Dominic with his tiny head. All right. Question of the day. What are the results from the people?
Question of the day is there a difference between cheating and breaking a rule? It's actually dropped down a bit. It's now 75% yes.
That's interesting. I'm curious what the
so
other
25% of the people believe there's no difference.
That is interesting.
In other words, whatever you do out there, you're a cheater.
Well, it's another conversation for another day. But Saturday we got together with Mark Carnevale. I had some friends and we met for dinner because he was doing the radio play-by-play from Bay Hill. And we had this conversation about, you know, when you play golf with your buddies or you play golf with your friends or you play golf at a tournament or whatever, and you bump into some people that you know and somebody goes, oh, that guy, he's a cheater. You know, I'm at dinner, I'm like, what? There are certain things that constitute cheating when it comes to the game at large. There were, whatever you want to call it, recreational game, whatever. Because in a normal game, you've got breakfast ball. Sometimes they allow a mulligan anywhere. There's the stuff that Dominic does where he you know, Dom, you won't hit it out of a divot, right? That's why people are calling you a fluffer.
In a true competition, I play the ball as it lies. But yes, if I'm playing whatever, if you and me are playing for nothing, I'm not hitting the ball in the middle of the fairway. I suck at golf. Why am I going to make it extra hard when I hit a fairway? He's like a 6 handicap. He's seeing second. Sorry. I'm not a 6.
What are you then?
Garbage.
What are you, Mrs. Doubtfire?
I'll look it up. I've got the USGA handicap app. Hold on, or whatever it's called.
Deity.
Hold on, I'll look it up. Keep talking. I am a...
So aside from that very poor excuse you just gave me that if we're playing for nothing, because anytime you're
8.5.
Okay. So you're playing a match. You're playing a match. We got it. Thank you, Dominic.
A 6.
He's still getting used to the new glasses. So when you're playing a match against someone, it matters, particularly if you're the one that rolls the ball out of the divot and they don't. Right? But what I'm saying is there's a whole series of things that people do. There are those that you play golf with that roll the ball no matter where it is all the time. I'm just giving you a million different examples. Saying to somebody, oh, that's good, take it away. It's common. But it's not in the rules of golf to say, yeah, you can give up putt. If it's not allowed. But okay, fine. So everyone does that, right? However, and if everyone does that, and you do, and I could list probably 10 or 20 more things that are common. How do you get labeled as a cheater at that recreational level of the game? I think, because we have some people that Dom and I play golf with some regularity that have that reputation, I think it's about lying about your score. That's my theory on it. What'd you have in that hole? I had the common phrases to get around, you know, if like you're in a court of law.
The pause. The dreaded
had
pause. What'd you get there? I had a, let's see, what's a good number? Like a 6. A 6.
Yeah, what's a plausible number? Or there's the put me down for. Right? As I'm saying this, everyone out here is listening like, oh, yeah. I'm sure there's more coming in online. Put me down for. Or I think that was whatever. They're all answers for a score that you didn't have. And so I think that that's the way that you get labeled as a cheater. There's other ways, you know, finding your golf ball when there's no way it was possible for you to find it. Like, oh, yeah, I found it. Okay. Who watches their opponent's golf ball so closely that you would know that they, you know, slipped one out of their back pocket on wherever they were, or whatever it was, right? But that to me, I think that is the one part. Like all these other things I talked to you about, whatever your score was at the end of the hole, if it's like agreed upon by the group that you're going to play by these modified rules, Okay, you're going to play by the modified rules, right? It's what everyone does. So what? But if you lie about your score with intent, then that's something different entirely. That is something different entirely. So anyway, Dom, we just keep on chatting all day, which is good. If you guys log on to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel later on today, maybe it's already up there now. We've got sound from Bryce Garnett, who won at Puerto Rico, which is an incredible story because he couldn't get into any events because of how it was to get into the fields. He gets in, first event of the season. He was able to, but he had status. He just couldn't get in the field. He gets in the field and he wins it in a playoff. Matteo Manassero wins on the DP World Tour. What's the matter, Dom? What are you saying?
I screwed up another graphic.
What happened? I
don't have the LPGA Tour winner up there. I'm trying to give everybody what happened. Andrew, add while we're talking here. It's on the LPGA Tour was the Blue Bay, the Blue Bay LPGA, and that's actually again, Matt, like you're talking about the story with Bryce Garnett, and of course the Italiano Matteo Manassero wins finally again in a while. Bailey Targan won on the LPGA Tour, and she is another great story, and her sound will also be available on our YouTube page. She was a big-time decorated amateur golfer, and she turned pro and really struggled. And I think it was 2019 or 2020, she missed her LPGA Tour card about $300, literally like a putt. And she had to work her way back onto the tour through the Epson Tour, and she just collected her first win on the LPGA Tour. Yeah, that's correct, Andrew. Yeah. He's adding it in as we're talking here, which is great. So,
you've got
you can see
another,
all the winners. And how about Matteo Manassero, Matt?
Well, he's an interesting story. Matteo Manassero is only 30 years old. And if you didn't realize this, and I would understand why you didn't, because he hasn't won since pretty much the time that Anthony Kim walked away from the game. But then you go, wait a minute, he's 30 years old and he hasn't won in 11-plus years? Yeah, and he's won 5 times now on the DP World Tour, formerly known when he won last. It was known as the European Tour. Well, they broke through again this week, and it was, again, really emotional. You're going to hear from him as well. So Bailey, Matteo, Bryce, all that sound is up there. There's sound up there from Rory McIlroy. We'll use this sound. We'll try to use the sound from Rory tomorrow in between. Like, I'm hitting the road today. Tomorrow I'll be broadcasting from on the road, and then I'm going to try to come back and be in position in studio here for Wednesday because I'm just driving up and down the highway with this week being the Players. But I want you guys to hear about Rory McIlroy and that whole discussion about how he sees the future of the game, right? Because he was asked about it again. It was interesting because one of the media people said, "Well, why are you so honest about sharing your opinion?" Okay. We're also you'll find the sound from Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, also from Paul Casey talk about the Crushers' victory, all the stuff that Dom wanted me to get to today that I didn't get to today because of all the other stuff that we were talking about. Dom, anything else you want to share from the people before we say goodbye on this Monday?
I mean, there's a lot of people making fun of my glasses.
He's mad today. He's all like,
I'm not mad. It just, I don't know. It's hurting my feelings like a little bit. Just a little bit. Not a lot.
Well, we're not. It's not. We already told you that
you're. Doubtfire picture. That was brutal.
Yeah, put that back up there. No, look at Dom. We already told you that your arguments are better, that you look academic. Yeah. We said all kinds of nice things.
Yep.
We compared you to some huge stars in the world of business, in sport, in motion pictures, in Seinfeld.
Motion pictures, yes. I'm excited about the Players' Championship, I'll tell you that. We'll have to get into that tomorrow. Andrew, put the press conference schedule up. That's in there. I built that graphic. That's probably correct, I hope.
Probably. It's all very questionable right now. You still get used to new glasses.
Jay Monahan's talking tomorrow, Matt. And you know he's going to have to answer a lot of questions. You know, PGA Tour Enterprises just released their board of directors.
Yep.
And then all the comments that Rory's had that we will post that we didn't have time to go over anything, of course. But there's a lot to go over. He's going to get, I would imagine, peppered with some pretty difficult questions. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. One quick thing before we go, Matt.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win the Players?
I think it's hard to bet against Scottie Scheffler the way he's playing right now. I haven't put much thought into that.
Yeah, but didn't you just say? I think you said it off the air. No one's ever won the Players back to back.
I did say that. Yep.
Was that on the air or off the air? I don't remember.
That was
off
the
crazy.
air. But
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah. So it'd be hard. It'd be hard to bet against Scottie Scheffler. That, you know what? That kind of sounds like the makings of a question of the day. I have this funny feeling about Victor Hovland for some reason. And people may think that's odd because he had a slow start at the Arnold Palmer. His finish was okay. But I just have a funny feeling about him for some reason. I'll have to put some more thought in it. Well, we can talk about that as we continue. All right, Deary, thank you for everything you did today. It was great. Andrew as well. And thank you to all of you for joining us. As ever, we'll be back with you again tomorrow if we're spared. Until then, remember, I'm on the road. Until then, be well. Bye for now.